Welcome to the Unfiltered Path podcast, where we explore life's journeys without the constraints of filters. In a world that is saturated with highlight reels, we dive deep into the true essence of individual experiences, offering our listeners an uncensored glimpse into the triumphs, the struggles, and the transformative moments that define us. Our mission is to provide hope, inspire resilience, and to remind you that every path, no matter how windy and rocky, can lead to growth and enlightenment. Join us as we navigate the uncharted territories of truth, to be moved, to be inspired, and to discover that you are not alone on this unfiltered journey of life. Good morning, everyone. It's Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker, here as one of your co hosts on the Unfiltered Path podcast, joined with my co host.
Hi, me? Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle. I'm the owner of Aerial Jade. I'm an aerialist. Essentially, I'm the bird of the circus. I'm also an educator, so I teach other people to do it too. And we are here with my co-host.
Good. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Duval. I am your co-host here on the Unfiltered Path podcast. My business is Valued Productions. We help people turn strangers into clients using video content and other digital strategies. Super excited for today's guest.
Miss Trisha, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Trisha Schimpf. I am among other things, a photographer and FAA licensed drone pilot coming to you from Lincoln, Maine, the edge
Mm.
of civilization.
Yeah, the owner of Eye Tide Images. And Trisha is, oh my goodness, so much more than a photographer. It's unreal. I love Miss Trish. Her vibe, her energy, it just like matches my level. And I'm so attracted to people like that because it's just so enlightening. It's so amazing to be in your presence. So thank you for joining us today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. And I return the sentiments very enthusiastically. Yeah.
My friend. Yeah, so we were talking about you live in Lincoln, which if you have no idea where Lincoln is, or maybe you're not from Maine and have no idea what we're talking about, Lincoln is like the end of civilization on the uh north, south, east area of Maine, and I'm kind of like almost to the end of civilization in the west part of Maine. So we also connect on that level.
We
And we
look
were talking about
across the state at each other from our
we
mountains. It's pretty
literally
cool.
it is.
It's
It's like
interesting.
Love it.
we have that in common is like that slower way of life. And so we were talking about how like so much more fulfilling and quality your life is when you slow down. And we were talking about some of the things that you were doing to kind of make that happen in this new chapter of life, right? Because we're always leveling up. Tell us a little bit about that and what life looks like for you right now.
Sure. Well, for me, it's taken me a long time to be ready to level up
Mm,
because I've been navigating coming out the other side of navigating some really deep, dark
yeah.
shit, like some
Yeah.
really like gritty, ugly, stuff that I think some people unfortunately deal with more than others based on their experiences. But I wasn't ready to be done with that. I wasn't, I hadn't kicked all the remaining little, like cut all the little remaining strings and all of that, and finally given myself permission to do better and to feel better and to be better and to get back into the routines that were really good for me
Mm,
and be more connected to like the simple things and realign myself with that energy that only comes from being out in nature, being slow. Like I'm in my office right now with the window open and there's the mountain behind me and I'm here working, but I can hear woodpeckers.
mhm.
There's all kinds of wildlife sounds out. The birds are out. And every once in a while there'll be like bees that come buzz up to the window and stuff. And it's just such a beautiful reminder all the time of being present. Yes, and being present in what I'm doing and working on, because I need that to pay the bills. But what is actually going to keep me alive is not that. The real work is, to me, is reconnecting with
Mm.
where life even actually comes from, which most of us aren't anymore.
I mean, life distracts us, right? Like we live in such a fast-paced society. It's literally, I mean, you and I work together, so you know this, but it's what I teach, right? Because it's the life that I live in. I think that a lot of people think there's this huge misconception that when you slow down, your results slow down,
Mhm.
that you're not making that progress because we're in this drive, 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 action, 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 go, go, go society. When, like, if you actually slow down and you believe that slowing down and being present will get you to the place where you need to be to attract the results you want, you actually will attract better results doing that than you will from forceful action. Graham, you and I talk about that all the time.
Mm.
Danielle, tell us a little bit about how you slow down because I know that you are very present in the moment as well. I admire that about you and how present you are with your kids. Tell us a little bit about how you demonstrate that and live that.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's still practice. I think sometimes like I see injuries as an opportunity to slow down. I actually wish I was better at it, to be honest. So I value that you see that
Mm,
in me.
yeah.
Um, what do I do?
Well, I mean, if you think
I
about
think a
injuries,
healthy mindset. So I think once you realize society has it wrong and backwards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's frozen.
Uh-oh. Well, I'm
Or
glad
what,
it
what
Mm.
if
wasn't me.
it's
Usually it's me that's frozen.
Oh, there you are.
Oh,
Okay.
there you go.
Danielle, repeat what you said because you froze.
I think once you've identified that society is wrong about this mindset of being fast and this hustle mindset, which is ironic to say because we're entrepreneurs, so I say that very delicately because I've posted a hustle thing, so I too am a
Yeah.
hypocrite. But what I mean is when you fully realize that that is just to imprison us in a way, to
Yeah.
keep us running in the same spot. Almost, even if you're traveling, you're still kind of running in the same spot in your life.
Mhm.
Um, and I think once you identify that, automatically kind of put in the practices. Like, do you have family nights scheduled as much as you would have a meeting? Um, one thing that I has been more recent over the last year is reconnecting people as much as I would with a follow-up. And
Mm.
I think the deeper we get into business, that starts to kind of go, and we don't see it all the time. And then next thing you know, we have people that don't want to be around us anymore because we're not putting as much effort into relationships and kids and things like that. So I think, yeah, I think it really just starts with the mindset and then putting in the practices. Do you need to live out in nowhere to live a slow life? No, I don't think that's even while I recommend it, I do live in Maine. I've lived in many options in Maine. But I do currently live very much in the city. I have split shifts for work. I'm a single mom. I have multiple businesses, so it just makes sense for me right now. However, I took the time to find cabins throughout Maine to rent all summer. The
Mhm.
kids and I commonly eat pizza on a beach pretty much every night in the summer, and I make sure that there's just nothing scheduled there.
Mm.
So not every night, but yeah, I think it's just like making it a priority, identifying that that mindset is not awesome, and then identifying when you are running in place,
Mm.
and then seeing injuries and roadblocks as opportunities to rest. Because rest to me is probably manic cleaning.
Mm.
And I think my
We
knee
all have our
injury
own thing.
really humbled me. And I was like, oh, I actually have not been resting my avatar technically.
Well, okay, so you could take your physical wounds, like your physical injuries, right, that are slowing you down, and you could compare them to a mental injury that needs to slow you down. So, like Trisha was saying at the beginning of this podcast, which is like sometimes we uncover with our inner work the things that we need to stop, pause, and slow down to process, to heal, to grow. And I think in that fast-paced environment that society teaches us, like we're not offering time for that.
Mm,
So, because the time is much more, you can have a therapist, you can have a coach, you can have whatever supports that are going to help you through that journey, but it's the work that you're doing around those calls, right? Around that time that you make. Like Trisha, you are very, right now, you are putting extra attention on making sure those habits and those patterns are in place for you to be able to do that. Give us a couple examples.
So yeah, I have a lot of like family trauma and dysfunction and chronic stress and things that weren't even mine. They weren't even mine, but I was, helping other people through things. And I was at my own expense for years, have been doing things for other people at my own expense. And then when it came time for me to need that kind of support, well, to my surprise, it wasn't there. So that has plunged me into a very, it's been a process. It's been quite a process. So some of the things I've been doing is trying to just be very aware of when something happens. I'm so sick of being hijacked by this shit. Like, I'm so sick of my brain being hijacked by this stressful stuff that's happening. And I'm sick of being so easily triggered by certain things happening. And I'm sick of being derailed. Like, it'll take me all day, might take me a couple days, to kind of get back into the mindset that I want to be in. So, first of all, disconnecting from those people that are causing that chronic trauma, and saying, no, you're not allowed.
Boundaries. I love
Yep.
that.
Yep. And it was hard because they're people that,
Yeah.
they're supposed to be your people, your parents, your siblings, like they're supposed to be your people. But that also is a very, isn't true, because just because they are blood related, that doesn't mean a damn thing. And it doesn't have to anyway. So your relatives are your relatives sometimes. That doesn't mean they're your family. And that took me a very long time to let go of that obligation of feeling like I needed to show up for those people, or I needed to keep doing these things for those people. And the whole time it was like crushing my soul. So, it got to a point where I was like, I had an actual breakdown.
Yeah. But
And
that's
it
the
didn't
injury.
involve like, yeah,
That's the
it didn't
injury.
involve, hospitals or whatever, anything
Yeah.
like that, but it was the worst place that I've ever been.
Yeah.
And so that is where, it took me, and it's taken me a couple years to kind of figure all that shit out. And so trying to come back to myself and what I need, and where, getting back into my routines and things that make me feel good. And one of the things specifically that I've been doing in Trinidad, you and I've been talking about trying to stay present. And when things, I learned a long time ago to not react emotionally in situations, because something triggers you, you might not even know what or why or how, is going on. Give yourself some time and some grace, and be patient with yourself to then figure out, okay, well, what even happened, and what is it that happened that made me feel this way, and what did it even make me feel, and where is that pain coming from? It's a past trauma, most likely. So figuring that out has been huge, because it's like things that I always knew I didn't deserve, but I still held them, still carried them, and I still allowed myself to be subjected to them. And so it takes a really long time, and it's not a linear process. And like, I've done really well for like a week, and then I'm like plunged back into shit. And then, it's just doing a little better. And each time taking a little more something away from whatever happened. Like Trinity, a couple weeks ago, you were like, how's it going? And I'm like, I'm so frustrated, but about something other than what I was frustrated about last week. So like, at least it's something different, and I'm not still, frustrated about that same thing. So obviously things are still going to happen. Frustrations are still going to happen, but being able to be in control of your own reactions and your own emotions, and being able to recover quickly. Like, that might still, I'm still going to get triggered, and I still might have, some acute reaction, but how much faster I can recover from that, because I'm so much more, I understand myself a lot more. I understand a lot more about what wasn't okay for me, what has been, things that have been done to me, and like how bad they really were. Sometimes you don't realize until you're out of something how bad it was. And then you look it back and you're like, oh my God, like that was, and then when you have time to breathe and time to relax, like you're in survival mode, survival mode, survival mode. And then you're able to just relax a little bit, and you're like, whew, well, that sucked. And then, you just have to regroup and try to work through it. But for a long time, I wasn't ready wasn't ready to do it, and now I'm
Yeah.
finally ready to do it.
I totally get that. I can relate with a lot of what you said and like the different, like it's not linear. It's all about progress, not perfection, the little bits at a time. And like one of the things that always just like stands out to me is like, you know, uh just because something changes doesn't mean, and this is just an expression that someone's told me and I've always resonated with it, like the shit fairy is always going to come. You know what I mean? And it's like it's just a matter of how we deal with that. And I know for myself lately, like I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't like do these things. And like the way, like you said, I'm handling things today is like completely different than when I handled it 3 years ago. And like lately, one of the things that I notice on the terms of being present is like there's a future thing that like I was looking forward to, but like my past, it showed itself because like it is like physically limiting something that I think that I want to do. But then if I sit and be in the present and realize that the future and everything that's laid out for me is part of this grand plan already, you know what I mean? Like higher self, universe, spirit, God, whatever you want to, like, it's like some project manager is like, okay, we've got this thing already set for Graham and like he's got it going good. Like, this is what good, check. But like, if I think that, I need to do something in a certain way, then that throws it completely off. And so, like, I have to be in that present and focus just like the next moment isn't promised. And so, like, the most that I can do is be in where I am right now. And so, like, if I think, like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to go to this event because I have a record on my thing and I'm not going to be able to go to this country where this mastermind is. It's like, well, if I'm meant to be there, then I'm meant to be there. But if I operate out of that place of guidance, connection, then like, maybe I'll be sitting one day and be like, oh, okay, maybe I should call this person that like helps with that, like a lawyer or whatever. But if I like operate on that place of like, white knuckling, like, oh, I got to get to this thing and like maneuver it, like that's maybe I like work really hard and end up at this event and that's not necessarily where I'm supposed to be. And
Mhm.
like there's like some like crash or like something happens, or versus like if I just go with the flow and
Mm.
like let it be and unfold, then maybe yes, I don't get to go to this thing, but something even greater happens and like I make the best connection of something that I've ever happened. And I don't know that unless I live in that moment of presence right now. But it's tough because that shit fairy will always come and it like messes with your head and you got to be like, okay, I got to bring it back down into this moment and like let those things unfold.
Yeah, mindset is really understanding like what you just said, right? Be present in the moment enough to understand what I'm about to say. Stuff is
Mm,
always going to happen. It's here for you to learn and grow from showing up as your best and truest self, showing up differently than you did previously in these challenging situations. The shit fairy comes, asking yourself and being intentional with that. Understanding that the thoughts cause the emotion. So if you look at something like that, if you look at the shit fairy coming and dropping something and you look at it immediately as bad, as horrible, why is this happening to me? That is the result you're going to get, period.
hmm
What you can do is understand that it's here to serve you and figure out what and how it's here to serve you. And we actually don't even need to figure that out, right? Like all of that is pre-planned for us. And so
exactly.
then you let go of that and surrender to it and surrender to the fact that like we're just like little people on this board game of life and like all it's all played out for us. We really have no control. Now we're taking actions and we're being intentional, yes, but you want a better result, you've got to show up better. That's it.
hmm
And it's those 1 millimeter little shifts that like, hey, something's happening. How can I look at this as serving me, even though it might be a really shitty thing? They Every single one of us on this podcast right now has gone through things that are traumatizing, they are horrible, they are awful, they're hard, they're all the things, right? And I think that every single one of us can look back at that and say, I'm so glad it happened. I wouldn't be where I am today if it didn't. And they were hard things.
Totally. I was on a coaching call the other day, and like we were talking about a concept kind of similar to this, where like, someone was saying how they like had personally attached like value to like this client that they had, and they lost the client and they were like feeling down about it. And like the whole thing is like, when something happens, it's like, oh, awesome, thanks. Like you lose a client. Oh, awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you get a new car. Oh, awesome. You know what I mean? Either way is awesome. And like there's this game that they were talking about where like you just say like, oh, today's going to be the best day ever. Or like you go into like, I was doing it on the way to this BNI meeting that I'm going to. I'm like, this is going to be the best BNI meeting ever. Oh, this is going to be the best podcast we've ever done. Oh, this is going to be the best client shoot that I've ever done. And you just like keep saying that like each time, and like what happens, it's the best thing that's ever happened. You know what I mean?
And here is where I would suggest that you take that to the next level is when it doesn't go as planned, or you might not label it as the best, understanding that it actually still is the best.
No, exactly.
Really, even if really
Exactly.
shitty things happen,
It's
you're like,
it's
okay, I did lose that
exactly.
client. Or right,
This still, thank you.
maybe you go and record and like it doesn't record. Maybe you had the lens on or something, right? And understanding like, man, that is a really shitty thing that happens. Yes, but the next time you record is probably going to be 20 times better than what you just recorded, right?
But if
Yeah.
you even think about it, it is the best thing ever, because now like you're not going to do it that certain way. And so it is still the best thing ever. And it's that shift of being like, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
oh, it's crappy. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
oh, I forgot to hit record. That's the best thing ever. That's
Yeah.
the best thing that I forgot to hit record, because now that I know that this is the way that I got to do it. Oh, we didn't capture sound. Oh, that's the best thing ever. Oh, I lost the client. It's the best thing ever, because that client wasn't supposed to work with me. You know what I mean?
Well,
Oh,
you
that
make
takes
room. You make room for who and what is supposed to be in your life. And even if it
Exactly.
happens in a really painful way and you're like forced to let go of these people in
yeah.
a really shitty way,
Yep.
that is the best thing ever. Because,
Yeah.
how are these people continuing to make you feel? What are they doing to your life? How are they, sapping your energy? And Trinity, that quote that you told me the other day, that then I had to make a reel about it because I was like, yes,
It's
this
so
is the
funny.
best thing.
You just messaged that you just said that because I was literally sitting here staring at the quote. I'm assuming the quote, and I'm gonna credit my one of my really good friends for this. I'm
Yes,
not co-signing on your bullshit. Is that the
that
quote?
one, that
Okay.
one. But the
So
other
it's
one
that,
was
yes, go ahead. What was the other one?
be grateful that you slipped through the hands of those that didn't know how to hold you.
Yeah.
Grateful.
I saw your reel on that. I was like, oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And
good.
yeah, I'm
My
like
world, that could
crying
be
as I'm
literal,
posting it
so
because
that
that's
freaks me out
painful.
slightly.
What'd you say, Danielle?
I said in my world that could be literal, so it freaks me out slightly. But
That's true. That is true. Yeah, we do not
Hopefully you
want to.
have really good insurance.
Yeah.
I'm eating the elephant quote. I can't handle it because I'm like, I can't think of an elephant being eaten. So the quote was like unbearable.
I,
Yum.
I
Barbecue sauce.
Yes, I was working with a client the other day and like she got a big elephant. We got to eat a lot of bites at a time. And like she couldn't like step into that. And so I'm like, all right, so now we're actually not we're gonna sliver the elephant. We're like gonna picture slivers of the elephant coming off. Like, all right, you just ate its tail. How did that feel? She's like, oh my God, I never thought I'd want to eat an elephant before. But like this is the stuff that gets us through the really hard things, right? Because like Graham said, shit fairy is always gonna shit. So like might as well use this stuff. It's manure, right? Like think about This is what I love about concepts like this is because the world, nature, the earth confirms all of this is true for us because what does our food grow the best in? Shit. Isn't that wild? And it's the same thing with us. Like, you don't want life to happen, you're not gonna grow. You're not gonna get where you want to get. And that's just the bottom line. And so many people, when they first start working with me, is like trying to avoid that stuff from happening. And what we have to do is build the mindset that, like, not that you want the stuff to happen, but you welcome whatever needs to happen when it needs to happen for your next level, right? So we're not trying to manifest and attract the stuff, but we're also not resisting it because what do we know is when you resist something, it persists, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you're resisting a lesson, man, the universe is going to give you lots of opportunities to learn that.
Gonna beat you over
Oh,
the head with
Woo.
that lesson,
Yeah.
and it's gonna
yeah.
take your own leg off your body and beat you with it, and then
Yes,
yeah,
literally.
One 100%. I mean, it's like the whole like concept of, when if you go to like on a boat ride or whatever, and like you're just like constantly thinking like, oh man, is this boat safe? Like, is this
Oh,
boat gonna sink? Like, or like, are you gonna have a good time? Probably not. You're like constantly gonna be in that space of like, oh, is this boat gonna sink? And the likelihood that it probably will is actually gonna go up versus, even if this boat does sink, like I know how to swim, or there's a life preserver, or like
yeah.
I'll just be in the moment now. Like
Well,
same thing with like relationships, if you focus on, oh, maybe they're gonna leave me, like, the likelihood that they're gonna leave you is gonna be way higher than if you
yeah.
don't.
It's a total energy, right? It's just like, you can relate that to everything. Business. If you think that your business can't be consistent, can't bring in clients, can't bring in revenue, can't be success, like that's what you're going to attract. Danielle, when you have someone up there scared as heck, like on the Lyra or on the Hooper, on the Silks, like you have to transform their mindset in that moment before they do something because if they think they're going to fail, what's going to happen? It's attraction, right? It's
Well,
energy.
I mean, I agree, but I don't. So they're prepared for what the worst, if the worst happens, they're prepared to handle it and how to avoid it.
Hmm.
So then when they get up there and they're still having fears of the things they've already prepared for, because so they go up prepared. That's what I mean. So the
yeah,
only way something dangerous could happen is if it was just unexpected. But I think that's the point, right? And
Yes.
so
Right.
when they're up there, I start, listing positive affirmations
Mhm.
to shift their brain because in their brain it's like, no, you can't, you're gonna die, da da
Yep.
da da da
Yep.
da da da.
Yep.
And then it's like the nervous system, which is like this like magical
Eh.
grid that we have to maneuver through, but we have control, but we don't. We
Mhm.
have to train it
Mhm.
essentially. So it's also managing that.
Mhm.
So I agree, but but we don't go up until we're prepared, right? So I just feel
Mm.
like that's important to state because like even through the fear most of us aren't in that position unless we're prepared to be, and so it's just reminding your
Mhm.
people of that.
well, that preparation and that mental like conviction and fortification that you have, hopefully, about yourself,
Mhm.
um, will get you through. Like, for example, I was a commercial lobster fisherman for over a decade, and that was challenging in so many ways, so many different reasons. But if I had listened to other people telling me, girl can't go fishing, a girl can't go fishing offshore specifically, all of these narratives that I could have then adopted and started like telling myself, if I started to believe them, then that would make them true.
Mhm.
I didn't believe them.
Mhm.
And I decided, like, just because you say that I can't doesn't mean anything. You just completely, and like someone else to validate, like Danielle. So if you have someone who is prepared, then he or she goes into the silks and then she kind of gets hijacked by that fear. And then having you there to kind of bring them back
Yeah, anchor.
and to be
I
like, no,
know
no, remember,
something
like
they've already
breathe.
prepared themselves for and
Mhm.
why they're worthy to be 22 feet in the air.
Mhm.
And those are the affirmations. They're not like, oh, love yourself today. No, they're like, girl, you did this yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You already fell once and you did it great. So what are you
Yep.
scared of now? You're
Mhm.
prepared for this. You're strong. You're stronger than most men. People can't climb this high. You know
Yeah.
how to invert. You will hook your leg. You have hand spray. You are prepared to do this. If you
Yeah.
weren't, you wouldn't be up there. Or
You're
if you don't, listen to your mind and come down.
You are
Right. I
reminding them
think
of what is within them that they can
Already.
withstand. Yeah, it's already within them. You're that voice. What we do is
That's what
come
best
in.
friends are.
Yeah, well, I know, but
mm,
if you look at like what we all do, like Trisha, you do the same thing behind the camera. Like I've worked with you and I felt that behind the camera. It's just like you don't need to do anything other than be yourself. Like you don't need to
mm,
stand a certain way, smile a certain way, like just be you and I will capture your essence and your beauty and your all of that. And Graham, like you do the same thing with video and I do the same thing with
mm.
mindset. Like someone's going through a freaking tough situation. Like I'm not telling them anything they don't already know. I'm just reminding them of everything they've learned and who they are.
Well, and having someone else to validate that and
Mhm.
to tell us that sometimes
Huge.
that's all you need. Like you might
Huge.
know all that stuff. And like
Yep.
a lot of the stuff we talk about mindset, I'm like, I already know this. I just need someone else to tell me.
Exactly. I was literally, that's exactly what was going on yesterday. I was in this call, the part of this mastermind I'm in, and like my thoughts were getting the best of me. And I know all this stuff. And like, you get in and you just voice that thing, and people are like, oh, yeah, like maybe you won't make this event, or, even if you do, then you're supposed to be there. If you don't, you're supposed to be there. You know what I mean? And it's like, I know that. Like, and it's
Yeah.
so then this that's why it's so important to be around the right people. And
Important.
like, if you're the sixth person of the five people you hang around with. If you hang out with five millionaires, you're gonna be the sixth millionaire. You hang out with six drunks, five drunks, you're gonna be the sixth drunk.
So true. So true. And that's what I hope that we are offering our listeners here on the Unfiltered Path podcast. I know you're not here in this virtual room with us. But neither are we. We're not in each other's space physically, but this is the power of being around. This is the power of podcasts and the music you listen to and the news that you
Mm-hmm.
watch and the social media you scroll, right? So like that's why I love the podcast. I hope it gives people that. And then like our short clips that we post, like they're all in, we watch every single one of those short clips. Like we hope they're inspiring. We hope that it's a 60 seconds of getting you in the space of us because we want to elevate you through this. This is why we have the podcast.
Mhm.
Exactly. And like having that space, Danielle, you talk about this all the time, like having this space to speak about that, because a lot of people think that they need to kind of like shelter that type of talk, like, oh, my mind is telling me right now that like I don't think that I can be up 22 feet in the air, you know what I mean? And like I do have that fear. That's totally cool, you know what I mean? But like we're all in this together to like remind each other that like, yes, okay, maybe you have that little bit of fear, but like let's go through it. And that's this space is a safe space to voice those things, and um be that different view that we're all in this to grow. So
Well,
I
and I think when
yeah.
you don't talk about things, they feel so much bigger. They feel so
Oh.
much heavier. They feel so much worse than,
Hmm.
if you're like holding on to this thing that's you're stressed about something, you're ashamed about something, embarrassed, whatever it is. But if you hold on, and most likely someone else is going to be able to relate to exactly what you're going through. And then it all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, well, I feel better. Just
Yep.
getting it out of your body. Just say it. Go out and scream it into the trees, something, anything, but like get it out of your body and release that. Like I had sage going, right before. I just always trying to like
Yeah.
reset the energy and keep the energy good. And instead of talking about like, oh, this was a terrible day or, whatever. No, this was a challenging day.
Mm-hmm.
But that helps me look at it as a challenge and not like a way that I've somehow failed because I'm struggling or I'm having a hard day or I'm, not feeling good or I'm, cancel the meeting because, whatever and like go take a nap instead.
Mm-hmm.
if that's what you need. It doesn't mean you shouldn't push through times, you do need to do that, of course, but being able to listen to yourself to know when like you really need to, before injury,
Yeah.
hopefully, before the fourth
Yes.
break,
Yeah.
Yes,
has been
exactly.
challenging for me. But because we just always feel like we should be doing whatever. Like
Should.
if I'm not taking my
Yeah.
dog out to exercise and I'm working on work, like I feel guilty because I should be paying it, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's
That
we have to give
that's
ourselves permission.
so true. And I hope that our listeners know that like it is about getting it out. And like we are a forum for those things to come out. And so like if any of our listeners have any of those challenges or anything, please drop them in the comments or shoot us each a message. We're all here for it. And so hopefully that today's episode and all our other episodes provide some sort of inspiration to get that out, be surrounded by the people that actually want to see you grow. And Trisha, I appreciate you joining us today. It's been an awesome conversation. Like I could talk about this type of stuff all day long. So appreciate you stepping into this conversation. Thank you to our listeners for joining us today. My name is Graham. Valued Productions. You can find me online, VALUD Productions.com. Same thing, social media at Valued Productions. I'd look forward to connecting with anybody. Joined my co-host today.
Hey everyone, Trinity Baker, mindset coach and motivational speaker. If you are struggling with any of these things, I am an open door. I make sure that there is something available for you when you are ready to step into understanding all of what we're talking about and getting to that next level of life. You can find all of my resources and contact me on thetrinitybaker.com or on your favorite social media platform. Joined here with my co-host.
Hi everyone, my name is Danielle. You can find me on arieljade.com or arieljade on most platforms. A healthy reminder that sometimes getting it out or isn't verbally, it can be artistically and physically. So follow me, and we are here with our guest.
Trisha Schimpf. I am a photographer, an FAA licensed drone pilot of eye-tide images. I focus on capturing authentic, emotional people and experiences, and would love to document your lifestyle or legacy.
Love
And
it.
I am on Facebook. I am on Instagram. My personal page is Patricia Schimpf, which I will spell that for you. SCHI, M as in Mary, P as in Paul, F as in Frank. It's German.
Awesome. Definitely get in touch with Trisha for your documentation of your lifestyle. And thank you to all our listeners for joining us today. Make sure you follow and like and subscribe the Unfiltered Path podcast on YouTube and where all your favorite podcasts are hosted. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. We've got a bunch of cool guests coming up, and we will see you next week on the Unfiltered Path podcast.